Hypeddit, ToneDen, FeatureFM. Which landing page provider should you be using to promote your music? I'm going to answer that question today, so don't go anywhere. What's up, everyone? My name is Kyle, and I'm the founder of Kyle the Ally. I'm a music marketing consultant who helps artists use digital marketing to promote their music on Spotify and get it heard. Today, I'm going to be showing you real data that I've collected, which is going to answer the hot question, which landing page service should you be using to promote your music? I ran a real experiment to compare landing pages from 3 of the most common providers, Hypeddit, ToneDen, and FeatureFM. The motivation for this experiment is pretty simple. There's a couple different landing page providers out there that you could choose from, but we don't really know which one's the best performing. As far as I know, I'm the first and only person to do this deep of a dive into answering this question and really unraveling the truth behind how these landing pages perform relative to each other. For the sake of this video, I'm going to assume that you know some basics about using meta ads for digital marketing and that you know what things like a landing page are, for example. I might explain those in more detail in a future video, but let's just take those for assumption. So when you see an ad on Instagram or Facebook and you click on that ad, you get redirected to another website before you eventually go to Spotify. That second website in the middle is called the landing page, and that'll have your links to go to, say, Spotify or Apple Music. And then when you click on one of those, obviously that brings you to the streaming platform you want to go to. The hypothesis of this experiment, to use sciencey vocabulary, is that even though all of these landing pages do the same thing on paper, they're basically just simple websites that link your music on different streaming services into one simple web page, there might be differences about them that cause a difference in performance. So these could be cosmetic differences that you could see that affect the way a user interacts with the landing page, or these could be kind of behind the scenes back-end differences in the implementation of the websites or how they're hosted that cause one to load faster and redirect faster, or just in general be more efficient at moving traffic from the ad to Spotify. We're going to be treating these landing pages as black boxes, to use another kind of science or engineering term, which means we don't exactly know what might be causing these differences, but we're going to do a separation of variables and expose them to the same conditions to see if we give them all the same inputs, do they give us any difference in output in terms of performance? Like any good scientist, I'm going to walk you through how I set up this experiment, and I'm going to start my explanation at the target. So basically, where are we sending people to? So I'll show you the song that I use basically as the experiment candidate. I'll open that on Spotify. And this is my song called Corporate Advertainment. If you don't know, I publish music on Spotify under the artist name Lenzai. This is not a plug. Listen to it or not if you don't want to. This is a song I was using it as a candidate. However, this is not where people were being directed by the ads I was running in the experiment. And that is because each song on Spotify is unique and you can't duplicate it. And if we're testing 3 different landing page services, in order to get a proper separation of variables, I need to have 3 duplicates of the song, which you can't do on Spotify. So the clever solution to this then was to create 3 identical playlists which emulate what the song looks like on Spotify. And I have the links up here, so I'll show you an example of what that one song playlist looks like. So someone clicks on this and you can see, it says Corporate Advertainment. It's a playlist of one song with the track in there, and so people can click play to listen to the song. They can click here to save it, the only thing that you'll notice is up here I just have a little code to identify which one is which. So 4.2.a, for example, was the one that I used for Hypeddit, and then if you go to 4.2.b, it is literally the same exact song, another playlist set up the same way. So now that I have 3 identical playlists that I could be using to measure data off of, then what I did is I constructed a landing page off of each of them. So playlist A got a Hypeddit landing page. And of course, the Facebook pixel is embedded in this landing page. That means we're going to be able to track conversions. So every time somebody clicks on this button, those data are reported back to Facebook, and we can count that as a success in the ad campaign for the optimization. The other duplicates of that one song playlist have, for example, a ToneDen landing page, and then we also have a FeatureFM landing page. Now that we have these 3 identical playlists set up as targets, I want to look you through some of the key metrics I was looking at when I was collecting data. First and foremost, we have followers. When somebody follows that playlist, it's basically like a listener saving your song to their library on Spotify, which is a good indicator of engagement from that listener. Now, when you or I are running a meta ad campaign to promote music, streams might be the number 1 metric of success that you use, but in here it's honestly the least important. We're more interested in unique listeners and follows because that's a unique action that each person can only take once. Streams is highly dependent on a specific listener's listening behavior, so that's why I really didn't put too much emphasis on this particular metric. I'm going to show you how I set up the 3 ad campaigns which drove listeners from Instagram all the way to my song or my playlists on Spotify. You can see the 3 campaigns are right here, so in no particular order. Campaign 4.2.b is the ToneDen one, C is the FeatureFM one, and A is the Hypeddit one. It's worth pointing out that I ran this experiment in March of 2022. Each campaign had 1 ad set using my own pixel, using the conversion event for each respective landing page. So this was the FeatureFM campaign using the FeatureFM conversion that comes with their landing page. And then I had a list of countries that I chose that were the same across all of them, ages 18 to 64, interest match Spotify, and they have to be interested in pop punk. That's the genre of music that I would best classify this song as. And in terms of placements, I was just using a handful of Instagram and Facebook placements. It looks like actually just feeds, Facebook feed, Instagram feed, and then the actual ad creative was a scene from my music video. As a side note, this is one of the most successful ads I've ever run for my own music. And of course, the website URL was the URL to the respective landing pages. In total, I spent $210 on this experiment that was split across all 3 of these campaigns. Where does that seemingly random number come from? So you multiply $5 a day times 14 days times 3 campaigns, and that gets you to $210. And I felt that was an appropriate amount to spend to get enough data so I could get a confident conclusion in whatever it was I was looking at. One other thing I should mention about my methodology is that once all the campaigns were created, I used the Ads Manager's built-in A/B test feature. In this case, it's really an A/B/C test because we have 3 groups. So this does something that's kind of important for the integrity of the experiment. What it does is it does some kind of sorcery with the audiences of the 3 campaigns to make sure that the 3 campaigns are not competing with each other. So they're not targeting the same exact individuals in the audience, and that keeps the campaigns from competing with each other and artificially driving up the cost per result. Remember those key metrics I was showing you before? Well, they all go into this terrible monstrosity of a spreadsheet that I created. I promise I won't bore you with this. It's more overwhelming than it's worth, if anything, but basically I just want to show you that every single day I was tracking key metrics such as the amount spent, conversions, link clicks, followers, listeners, streams. The rest of these are calculated in the spreadsheet, and I was collecting them every day. So there were 14 days, meaning there were 14 total data points for each of the 3 groups. And that's important because I feel like to get any kind of result I'm going to be confident in, I need at least 10 data points to look at. So that's why I chose to do 14 days. It comes out to a nice 2 weeks, and then you have at least 10 points. I'm gonna go into the summary tab, and I'm gonna show you the big table of all the results that I compiled from the data that I collected over those 2 weeks. And you can see we have Hypeddit in the first column, ToneDen in the second column, FeatureFM in the third column. We spent a nice $69 and change. Everything was within a penny of each other. Counted the conversions and a whole bunch of Facebook metrics. That's what the blue is. The green is where the metrics actually start to get important. So these green ones were collected on Spotify. So we could see followers. So Hypeddit had 22 followers on its playlist at the end of this 2 weeks. And ToneDen had 11 and FeatureFM had 21. This is a really interesting result. Okay, so we could see Hypeddit, number 1, had the most followers. FeatureFM very close behind it, and ToneDen very far behind the other 2 actually. And remember that in this case, a follower on this one song playlist is like somebody saving your song. It's an important engagement metric. That's why I want to measure it. We also have Hypeddit in the lead with listeners, FeatureFM a close second, and ToneDen a distant third. Again, the same story as we had from the followers. And it also repeats itself in the streams. What's interesting is that Hypeddit and FeatureFM had almost identical listening ratios. So this is the average number of time one listener listens to this song. ToneDen's was higher, but I think that's just because they had less listeners to begin with. I think that's just an anomaly of the stats that we collected. And then I calculated cost per follower, which for Hypeddit was $3.18. FeatureFM was $3.33, and ToneDen was a whopping $6.35. So I just walked you through this colorful table up here. Those are all of the metrics that I compiled from data I actually collected. But how can we be sure that the result that I got is actually caused by differences in the landing pages, and it's not just caused by random chance? And to answer that question, you need a statistical analysis. And that's what I have outlined in this gray kind of bland looking table down here. You use a statistical analysis to demonstrate what's called statistical significance. And that means you can be confident that the result you saw is real and not just due to random chance. I'm going to gloss over the details of this because there's definitely other YouTubers who explain the statistics better than I will. But for now, all you need to know is that I use something called a confidence interval to demonstrate statistical significance. So I calculate a 95% confidence interval. Basically, what the 95% confidence interval means is if I repeated this exact experiment 100 times, I would expect that in 95 of those 100 trials, my outcome would be between this lower bound and this upper bound. So it's basically like drawing a range of expectations if you were to continue repeating this experiment under the same conditions. We can see there is definitely a statistically significant difference between ToneDen and the competitors. ToneDen is so far behind the others in terms of results. So the 95% confidence intervals is saying that if we repeated this experiment, we'd probably expect this to be between, 10 and maybe we'll round up and say 12 listeners. We expect to be somewhere in that range. However, Hypeddit and FeatureFM's results were very close. And so FeatureFM got 21 followers in the end. But if you look at the confidence interval, it's predicting that we could get anywhere between 20 next time or, just a shade over 22. That's important because the confidence interval that we built around this includes the value that we got for Hypeddit. There's not a statistically significant difference between Hypeddit and FeatureFM. In this case, the difference was too small for us to be confident that the one extra follower Hypeddit got was not due to random chance. So to summarize all of those crazy results in plain English, basically what that means is ToneDen was significantly worse than the other two, and Hypeddit and FeatureFM have very comparable performance to the point where this study didn't conclude that one was better than the other, at least on hard data. So that was a whole bunch of nerdy mumbo jumbo, but you came here for a recommendation. So what is my actual recommendation? Which landing page provider should you use? We saw that ToneDen has significantly worse performance than the other two, but it's free, so you get what you pay for. If you're on a really tight budget, probably just use this option. Hypeddit and FeatureFM are paid, and so you pay money to get what I think, or what I've seen, is a better service. Now, when you compare the price, I think Hypeddit's like $9 a month these days. It's pretty affordable. FeatureFM is, I don't remember the price, but it's a lot more money. So with that in mind, if you have these two landing page providers that are very similar performance, but Hypeddit's a bunch cheaper, then why not just use Hypeddit? As a matter of fact, I personally use Hypeddit for all of my own music projects. That's what I would use if you hired me to consult for you or to run ads on your behalf. And anytime a client approaches me and asks for a recommendation, I recommend Hypeddit. As a matter of fact, if you go to the description down below, I have a referral link which you could use to sign up for Hypeddit, and it would help support me and this channel. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Kyle, if you have a referral link, that just basically means you're sponsored by Hypeddit. No, I'm not getting paid by Hypeddit to say nice things about them, even though I have the referral link. I have the referral link because I personally use Hypeddit based off of the results that I've collected, the results that I just showed you, which I believe in and I stand by. and I collected those data and decided Hypeddit was my favorite landing page provider, and now I have the referral link so I can share that with you guys. However, I will use this as an opportunity to talk about my own service. I help artists like you use digital marketing like meta ads to promote their music on Spotify, or to sell tickets if they're going on tour to play shows in physical venues. So if you're interested in hiring me to help with your next big project, go to my website. The link is in the description below, or you could type in kyletheally.com and fill out the intro questionnaire on the contact form on my website. I promise it only takes a few minutes. And if working together looks like a good fit, I'll get in touch with you and we'll talk from there. And if you found this video helpful, please take a moment to just like this video and subscribe to my channel so you keep getting updates on all of the new videos I'm going to be publishing over the next couple of weeks. Once again, my name is Kyle. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you subscribe so I can see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.